Friday, April 5th, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I want to talk about how we are all pawns in a game. And I'll touch upon this book as well by William Guy Carr. Basically, it's about the globalists and the New World Order and how long they've been around. I highly recommend it, Pawns in the Game. And also, War is a Racket. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of war drumming going on today. And my view is that we should not fall for it. That there are no real enemies, but it's all a game that they play. And what's the objective? Well, it's to control the population. It's to kill two birds with one stone, i.e. make a lot of money as well, and have control. Before that, of course, I want to look at the markets, see what they're doing this morning. It's 7:30 a.m. London time. And before I go into the markets, today, of course, is a big day in terms of where the market's going to go, up or down, not only for stocks, precious metals, currencies. We got the jobs data out of the U.S. today at 8:30 a.m. New York time, or 1:30 London. So the unemployment rate is expected to stay at 3.8%, but the non-farm payroll number, which is very important, that's expected at 175,000 versus 20,000, which was a very low number last time. People are also going to look at the average hourly earnings. That's expected 0.2 versus 0.4. So let's get to the markets, see where we are. We've got spot gold, $12.8780, down about $4. I did see what happened yesterday to gold and silver. I was away. I wasn't watching the markets, but I saw that gold got down to $12.80. I think it was on the back of jobless claims numbers. I'm not sure what it was. A lot of paper selling, of course, on COMEX. But I was surprised by how well gold rebounded throughout the day after that. It really sprung back up. It got even back up to $12.94. But this morning, again, it's back down. The range has been $12.94 to $12.87. So that's where we are for gold right now. Silver as well, I think, got down to $14.89 and rebounded very well as well, like gold. We're at $15.11 now, down about 2 cents. Stock market, yeah, we've broken some key technical levels in the Dow and S&P. Yesterday actually didn't break through technical levels. It was mostly the Dow that was higher. This morning, the Dow is up 39, or 26,417. The S&P is at 2883, up about 5 points, and the Nasdaq 100 future is up about 12, 75.50. The pound is up 131.10, up about 0.25%. Some of you have asked me what a pip is. Sometimes when I talk about, it's a foreign exchange term, a pip. It's, let's say the pound is at 131.10. If it moves from 131.10 to 131.11, that's a 1 pip move. 100 pips is if it moves from 130 to 131. So that's a terminology for the FX market for some of you who might be wondering. The euro, 112.33, up about 0.1%. Dollar yen is unchanged, 111.68. And the dollar is drifting lower against the yuan. We're now at 670.77, down about 0.1%. The energy sector, crude oil, WTI, 62.08, virtually unchanged from overnight levels. Brent as well. Brent is down 20 cents, 69.09, or 1/3%. And we've seen the bond markets actually back up. The yields have backed up quite a bit recently. This morning, the 10 years up 2 basis points at 253. The 3-month is at around 243. So it's basically disinverted massively in the last week or 10 days. It makes you even wonder if the powers that be are actually doing that on purpose so that people stop talking about recession. I wouldn't put it past them for them to actually be selling, the curve, selling the longer end and buying the shorter end to make it seem, artificially. Why not? They do everything else. So pawns in the game, William Guy Carr. So who was William Guy Carr? I'll read here from the book. He was a commander from the Royal Canadian Navy, born June 2nd, 1895, died October 2nd, 1959. So this is an old book. It says, at the early age of 12, the author was thoroughly indoctrinated into the Bolshevik ideology by 2 revolutionary missionaries who traveled on the same ship with him out to the Orient in 1907. Unlike many others, he didn't swallow the bait they offered him, hook, line, and sinker. He decided to keep an open mind and to investigate matters thoroughly before reaching any conclusions. His investigations and studies of all angles of the international conspiracy have taken him to nearly every country in the world. He goes on to say, Commander Carr was determined to inform as many people as possible regarding the evil forces which adversely affect our lives and the lives of our children. His book will be an eye-opener to parents, clergymen, teachers, students, statesmen, politicians, and labor leaders. So yeah, he goes over all the historical events that sometimes we don't think are related, but they are. He talks about the World Revolutionary Movement. Well, that's the New World Order. He talks about the English Revolution, 1640, 1660. That's part of the game as well. That led to the creation of the Bank of England. He talks about the men behind the French Revolution, the downfall of Napoleon, the American Revolution. He even talks about the monetary manipulation and the Russian Revolution. The same people were behind the English Revolution, were the same people behind the Russian Revolution, believe it or not. Well, who are they? Well, they're the bankers, the internationalists, the globalists. Some of you might touch upon religion and ethnic groups. Yes, there are some that are more prevalent, but it's people of all backgrounds, actually. This World Revolutionary Movement talks about the Treaty of Versailles, Stalin, Spanish Revolution, so World War II. I mean, he just talks about how we're played by these people. And I think we're being played right now as well. And that's why I'm doing this video. Why do they play the people against each other? Well, to keep control of the populations, not only in the US and Europe, but also China, Russia. I think it's all orchestrated personally. Does Trump really hate Putin? Do the Democrats really hate Putin? Is there really conflict with China? If the West is so against communism in China, why would they have opened up to China in the 70s? Why would they have done that? Why would we be trading so much with them? It makes you wonder. Even the BIS, the bank who I talked about the other day that financed both sides of World War II, well, they have a representative office for Asia and the Pacific. And guess where that BIS office, or Bank for International Settlements office, is located? Well, it's located in Hong Kong. a semi-autonomous region of China, right? So there you go. So what's the other reason they keep us in conflict beside the divide and rule or divide and conquer? Well, I think it's for profit. Big Chinese companies are making billions for the military. So are the Russian companies, so are the Americans, so are the European companies. It's all to keep, and for them, they think it's good for the economy as well. They think it's good to have an economy based on fear, military, and there you go. So what's the other book that's I recommend about this? How much how profitable war is. It's the most profitable, really, of endeavors. Not a great endeavor, of course. It's war is a racket by a man who actually was Brigadier General Smedley Butler. Smedley Butler. So I'll read a little bit about Smedley Butler. Smedley Darlington Butler was a United States Marine Corps Major General, the highest rank authorized at that time, and at the time of his death, the most decorated Marine in U.S. history. During his 34-year career as a Marine, he participated in military actions in the Philippines, China, in Central America, and the Caribbean during the Banana Wars. In France in World War I, Butler is well known for having later become an outspoken critic of U.S. wars and their consequences, as well as exposing the business plot, an alleged plan to overthrow the U.S. government. So there you go. This what's happening in Venezuela is not new. It's been happening for over 100 years. The neocons are not new. The neocons are part of this. The neocons are part of the... they're like the foreign policy arm of the world revolutionary movement, the neocons. The Philippines, how did that come about? Well, the Spanish-American War, there was another false flag there at Havana Harbor. The Maine sunk, battleship Maine. And the whole press at the time, the Hearst newspapers came out accusing Spain, and that's what led to the Spanish-American War. And that was another false flag. And the same thing is happening nowadays with Skripal in Russia, and it's all a game. And I wanted to recommend as well a very good YouTube channel, because they're not playing into this game either of divide and conquer, and it's called True News. I listened to one of their videos recently from March 22nd. Who are the major members of Genie Energy? And you might not know who Genie Energy are. It's an American energy company headquartered in Newark, New Jersey. It is a holding company comprising Genie Retail Energy, a retail energy provider in the U.S., Genie Oil and Gas, which pursued a conventional oil exploration project in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. So now you can understand how important President Trump's declaration that he's going to recognize the Golan Heights as Israeli territory is, because Genie Energy hasn't been able to exploit the oil and gas in the Golan Heights, which is supposedly massive. But the most interesting part, though, and in the video, is which people are behind Genie Energy, and you'll be really shocked. Here we go. It is on Wikipedia, right? It says Genie Energy's Strategic Advisory Board is composed of, drumroll, Dick Cheney, former Vice President of the United States. Well, he's the guy who took the U.S. to that war in Iraq that they lied about, weapons of mass destruction. Rupert Murdoch, media mogul and chairman of News Group, Fox News. James Woolsey, former CIA director. Larry Summers, former head of the U.S. Treasury, Democrat, right? Bill Richardson, government former governor of New Mexico, ex-ambassador to the UN, and U.S. Energy Secretary. Michael Steinhardt, Lord Jacob Rothschild, Mary Landrieu, former senator from Louisiana. So Dick Cheney, he's a Republican. You've got Bill Richardson, and who's a Democrat. So it doesn't really matter what party you're in. They're just playing us. But anyway, there are more interesting things about Genie Energy. It goes right to the Trump administration. And it's is it a coincidence that the Golan Heights has been given to the Israelis by the Trump administration? But as Rick Wiles from True News said, this is, the rest of the world doesn't recognize it because it's just the U.S. saying it. True News goes on to say as well how I've also listened to some recent videos of True News. They talk about the NATO 70th anniversary and how Mike Pence has been speaking. I think he was speaking in Munich to the Munich Security Conference or something. And he basically said that the Germans should stop building Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He also threatened... didn't threaten, but he said, Turkey has to make up its mind. It's either gonna do business with Russia or with NATO. So yeah, I think there's a lot of war mongering right now. A lot of war drums being beaten, and I think we need to realize that it's just a game. I know it can be very serious. It can mean death and for many people, but don't play into that game. We don't need to go to war. The only people it benefits are the globalists, the neocons, the big business. They don't care about the pawns dying in the battlefield. All they care is about control and the profit. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. And don't forget to hit the little notification bell above to be notified of my new videos. I wish you all a great day. And maybe I'll make another video later on today, depending on what the markets do after the non-farm payroll number. Take care. Bye.